It's that time of year again. Time to show Dad you can put more than 10 seconds of thought into his Father's Day gift. Come on. You can definitely do better than mugs or drugstore cologne that smells like 1987. You know what Dad wants? Clothes that let him show off that dad bod he's been working on all winter. That's right. He wants something from the Perfect Jean. Look, you know how much we love the Perfect Jean here at Pero Let Me Tell You, and your dad will too. Not only do they have their classic quality jeans, shorts, and shirts, which let your dad actually move thanks to their patent-pending stretch process, which, okay, we don't really know if it's patent-pending, but it sounds totally cool. Now they even have jeans made from sustainable recycled materials because Dad always taught you never to let anything go to waste. You know what else Dad taught you? To always get the best price. So use promo code TELL20, that's TELL 20 at theperfectjean.nyc for 20% off your first order. That's right, TELL20 gets you 20% off all their items. So this Father's Day, those boring khakis and show your dad he can look and feel good in a pair of jeans thanks to the Perfect Jean. And don't forget to use code TELL20 for 20% off your order. Hell, might even make you his favorite kid.
Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is Season 5 of Pero Let Me Tell You. What are you talking about? It's Friday.
Well, you know, we record
it's Friday
on fake
night,
Friday.
And the mood is right. We're going to have some fun, show you how it's done. TGIF. Welcome. What episode is this?
This is 206, I want to say. I'm going to look it up right now, but I feel very confident.
Well, as he looks that up, welcome everybody. Happy Friday.
I feel very
The
confident
weekend is upon us. It was a short week.
It's weird.
When it's a short week?
Yeah, because then I was all... Yeah, it's 206. Because I was all like Tuesday, but it felt like a Monday. Mm-hmm. And then like Wednesday felt like a Tuesday. But then
think about it.
The thing is that Jose took off Tuesday, so he didn't really start working until Wednesday. There was just a lot of confusion.
So just think about this. Think about Tuesday as Monday, and then you have Friday off.
I like this.
Yeah, but then you only
But then I'm going to get very sad when I have to go to work on Sunday.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, that didn't work out. I didn't plan it through.
But I like where your head was at.
I didn't plan it through.
I like where your head
was
at.
I remember when we were in school.
Right.
Like I would play all those mind tricks with my head in my head. I'm like, okay, it's teacher's planning day, so it's really not Monday. It's like Tuesday, or like, okay, today's Monday, and then I'm gonna pretend to myself, whatever.
You know what also threw me though mentally is that since last Friday we did our pop up, which thank you Jay Wakefield and everybody who came out.
Yes. Oh my gosh, let's talk about that for a minute. That was great.
It was.
Fun.
We
had people that were like, "Oh, I listened to your podcast and I heard you were doing this, so we're gonna come and have your wings."
Yeah. This one family showed up and he was like, "I want this, and I was like, we've only done a handful of pop-ups, so I feel confident in knowing who has shown up. And I'm like, you must know from somewhere this menu. Yeah. Like,
well, that's how you begin. That was. I really liked, for those of you who are in Miami, Jay Wakefield in Wynwood,
Yep.
I really liked the setup we had there. That we were outside in the parking lot, but in the front. And like people were walking by, and no había calor, and it was great. We like doing the pop-ups.
Yes, we have another one coming June 18th, which is the Saturday before Father's Day. So we'll keep you updated on that one.
Happy Father's Day to me. Nothing says Father's Day like frying chicken.
Well, you're not doing it on Sunday, and then we'll clean everything that Saturday, so you don't have to do it Sunday morning.
Right. The cleaning is always
that's the fun part. That's the fun
part.
But
anyway, so wait, what were we talking about?
Because I was saying like it also threw me off because like the pop-ups are usually like on a Thursday, or then we've done it like on a Saturday. Right. So we did it on a Friday, but it was like a Friday where you were like, I don't care how long I'm here because it's a long weekend. It just threw me off. Like, just me tiro.
Yeah. So how was your long weekend?
It was great. I did a lot.
Yeah, what did you do?
I packed a lot in. We did the pop-up on Friday. Then Saturday and Sunday we were in Fort Myers Beach. And then on Monday we hung out with our friends at the pool.
Oh, the big fun.
Yes, I had all the big fun. Which what I loved about the pool on Monday was that it was salt water.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, you know que salt water es buenísimo para la salud.
I guess.
It is.
Well,
you never
yes.
heard that?
Well, no, it is. Especially good for the skin.
Yeah, for
cuts.
Skin.
Like when you have random cuts.
Yes. I had one on my finger and I was like, ooh, this is wonderful.
Yeah, when you have cuts. Yeah. And when you have acne.
Oh, okay.
It dries up your acne.
Like the back knee, yeah.
Yeah, it is very good. So we ended up at
Helps my lower back, actually.
at Orlando. We just went to a hotel, stayed in the hotel.
You make it sound like you went to the Holiday Inn Express. You went to like a resort.
We
Don't be all like, we just went to a hotel.
Yeah,
you know,
we just went
like,
to the Motel
you know,
6 now. There's anything wrong with that.
We went to an extended stay hotel. Like, no, come on.
Y el niño se tiró en la piscina.
Okay,
yeah. So it was actually the Gaylord Palms, which... I mean, it's a very...
But for those who don't know...
So the Gaylord Palms Hotel... Actually, Gaylord Palms is a chain of hotels.
Yeah.
I think there's another one. Well, when I mean chain, I think there's 2.
There's like maybe 5 at most.
Or I don't even think there's...
But
a handful.
A handful, yeah.
Right. The one in Orlando is pretty massive, and it has like a inside atrium. Like, it has an atrium that's like, I don't know, 10 acres. Wow. And it has like a jungle in it. Like, it's really cool. It's very nice.
Wow.
But the pool area is like a theme. It's like you don't need to go to Blizzard Beach. Like,
okay.
It's pretty legit. Like, it's very legit. Like, I know a lot of times hotels are like, oh, come to our water park, and they have a pool and like
a slide,
maybe 10-foot slide.
Right.
There was a slide here that was 8 stories tall. Ooh. Yeah, that when I would go up to it, I'm like, when I would get to the top, I'd be like, oh my God, is it really worth subir ocho piso?
And it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was the slide that it's a straight down slide that ends in the toilet bowl.
Okay, yes.
But it's the one that you stand on a platform and the platform comes up for you.
Those terrify me.
So here's the thing. Tristan wanted to go on it.
Okay.
And he kept looking at it all weekend.
He was okay to go on it?
Yeah, he was.
Okay,
because, he's 8, but he's like the size of a 10-year-old.
No, Odita, he's my size, yeah.
So, yeah, he had the height requirement. And the last day, he's like, okay, I'm going to risk my life and go on it.
Oh, my God.
And I had already gone on it. And I'm like, okay, I'll go on it again.
Right.
And I'll go with you. And the reason I'm bringing this up is there's a teaching moment in this.
Okay.
So he was going up, and you could tell he was very nervous. This is
it's his first big ass slide.
Yeah,
like,
again, even as a full blown adult, whenever I've done those slides,
impresionante.
That the thing under you opens up and you just fall. It's a little like when you're anticipating, it's like, oh my god, just do it already.
Just get it over with.
Yeah. And he kept looking at it. And as we were getting to the top, there were a few kids his age or age-ish.
Okay.
Who he was like, oh, is it really fast? And like, yeah, it's fast, but it's not scary. Like, the scariest part is like when you first come out. Like, the kids were being very encouraging of him.
That's good.
And he kept looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. And I'm like, listen, you don't have to do something you're not comfortable with. Right. If you don't want to do it, we'll just go down. There's other slides to do. You've been on every freaking water slide here, and the other water slides you had been on were pretty
they were intense.
Very fast. They were intense.
Yeah.
Again, these are not like little kiddie slides. That's like, ooh, it's like these slides are like legit, right? Like they have a tube slide and all that. And I'm like, listen, you don't have to do something you don't want to do.
Right, of course.
And he's like, oh, but the other kids. I'm like, listen, there's gonna be moments as you get older that other kids are going to do something. Other teenagers are going to do something. Other adults are going to do something. Yes. And, I made this into a teaching moment.
Okay.
As a parent does. Look at
you being skills. A parent.
And I told him, look, you shouldn't do something you're not comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with now, you know what? Maybe tomorrow you come and you're like, I'm going to do it. Maybe it'll be next month. Maybe it'll be next year. You do it when you do it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm not ready yet. And I'm like, great. Then let's go down. Let's go down the 8 floors or 7 floors.
Well, going down is easier than going up.
And I was like, great. So I was like, oh, I'm proud of you that you made the right decision for you. Right. So it was fun.
Well, he had a good time. That's what matters.
Had a good time. It's funny because for so many people, or for like the nation at large, Memorial Day is like the beginning of summer.
Yes, it is.
And I'm like, summer what? Like, it's been summer here since
Can we have
February.
the beginning of winter?
Yeah. But it goes without saying, Memorial Day is to think about those who have fallen and have, died for our rights and privileges and way of life. So, thank you to them. But what I was telling you, and this is like something that, in terms of conversation for the podcast, is that, we hear so much now about inflation and about la economía.
La cosa está mala.
La cosa está mala.
Yeah.
We're on the brink of recession, all that stuff, which is very real because inflation is kicking all of our asses.
Oh, yes, it is.
Right? Not me, because I drove in the Tesla.
Okay, but that's the only thing that didn't affect you, okay?
No, I know.
Okay,
I know.
because...
But seriously, because I have an electric car, I'm kind of like, guess what? No, seriously, like I don't
know. No, that was me hating you.
I know how much gas is because I see it in the news,
right.
in the Today Show of like gas is at an all-time high, and I'm like, oh, it is $4.60 a gallon. But I don't look at it. But anyway, so the reason I bring that up is porque la cosa está mala, la gente no tiene dinero, pero Orlando was packed to the brim. Oye,
like back to normal.
No, and more. Like
really?
I went to downtown Disney, and it was, when I tell you packed, it was like freaking Calle Ocho in there. You know, it was, you know, when it's just a sea of people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, coño, ¿dónde está la economía mala aquí? Que la gente no tiene un kilo para caerse muerto.
Those are the things that I don't understand.
And the hotel we were at, which again, is not a cheap hotel
at all.
It was packed.
You got a great deal, but it's not a cheap hotel.
Packed that when I was at the front desk, I was talking to the lady in the front desk. She was telling me how, you know, she was so happy the weekend was over because there were so many people that were overbooked.
La pobre.
And they were sold out
right.
that were overbooked. I'm like, this hotel, is not a cheap hotel.
It's not Motel 6.
Right.
You
know, pero sold out. And I'm like, wow, ¿dónde está la economía mala?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. I never understood that. Like, you know, you hear about all these like inflation and unemployment and then you turn around and it's people like, you know, just going down the aisles of Target, like, you know, grabbing everything.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to you a minute ago. I remember that in like 2009, 2010, 2008, when the economy really was bad, that we were in the Great Recession.
Yeah.
You really did see it. Like things were not as full as they used to be.
No, people stopped doing things.
Yeah. I also think that it's a combination of like, this is the first summer in 2 years.
So people are just going to go.
People are kind of back to normal in COVID, although COVID is still going.
Sí, pero ya la gente pueden salir.
Right. You could go outside.
You can go outside, so they're going to go outside.
You could go outside, so there's something to be said for that. You know, I'm sure there's going to be an incline and then a plateau, and then it's going to decrease.
I mean, I guess there's also something to be said about the fact that you didn't go anywhere for 2 years. So in theory, you should have some money saved up.
Right. But you know what? It's really interesting because, like, I was actually watching on CBS Sunday Morning.
Drink.
I say that so second nature, right?
You say it like saying Tristan's name.
Like saying my name.
Like, yeah, like so the other day, you know, me, Tristan, and CBS Sunday Morning were at the park.
CBS Sunday Morning is a tax write-off for me.
It should be.
Independent.
It should be.
Anyway,
they should pay us something.
So I was watching CBS Sunday Morning about national parks.
Oh, okay.
National parks have gotten so full, that they're going to have to... they already started doing in like Arches National Park, Yellowstone, Yosemite, like the more popular ones.
Right.
They're starting to do like a ticketing system.
Like you have to make a reservation.
You have to make a reservation, right? It's free, but you have to make a reservation.
Yeah, reserve a time.
Because they were saying that they get like... I think Arches National Park got like 10 million visitors last year.
McDonald's.
Arches is the one that has like the rock formations that are like an arch.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And I'm thinking like, okay, the national parks have been there for a while, for over 100 years.
A little bit.
Right? This is the learn section.
They've been there for a minute,
Today's episode. You know who designated the national park? The national parks?
I want to say it was Roosevelt, but I could be wrong.
It was.
Okay.
Teddy,
yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt was the one who thought that our national parks... Well, he's the one who introduced the legislation or bills to make the national parks. And that eventually led to what we have today, the National Park Service.
Right.
So all that was the idea of Teddy Roosevelt, that our national parks should be preserved for future generations, that they're uniquely American, and they should be, they're cherished.
They're part of our country,
of our fabric, and they should be preserved. So these are things that have existed for quite some time,
and people are just
it's interesting. I mean, look, they've always gone, but it's just interesting that there's such a high influx in the last, and this is not even COVID related, right? Because everything's been wonky after COVID.
Right.
Even before COVID, like the increase of people going to national parks has been a lot. I actually think, I could be wrong, but I actually think a lot of it has to do with social media.
In what sense?
Because I think that with social media, when I mean social media, I mean like even back in the day, Facebook, right? When Facebook was at its prime, I think that a lot of people who maybe are not into that think that, oh, national parks, I'm going hiking.
Okay.
Right. But then when you see like the beauty and the majesty of these parks,
Right.
and you see that a lot of these parks have cities nearby and have lodging that's accessible.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, I could like stay in a hotel and
Right, and drive, and in some cases, drive my car. Like,
and drive my car
right,
literally
right,
through
into
the national
park.
park.
Yeah.
Get off, take the picture that looks like you're there, you know.
Right, like you're roughing it.
Right. And then you're done.
But you're not.
Right. I love those posts of Instagram versus reality. Have you seen those?
I'm sure
That'll
I have.
be somebody in like a very majestic, natural landscape, and it's like beautiful, the perfect colors, and like the music in the background. And then they flip the camera,
And you see everything that
like
went into it.
1,000 people behind you waiting in line to take that same picture. But I think probably that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's something to be said for doing it for the gram, as they say.
There's a lot to
There's
be said.
a lot to be said for doing it for the gram, good and bad. But hey, you know what? If it makes people want to get outdoors, then okay.
Have you been
do
to
it for the gram.
Yellowstone? Or
I've never been to Yellowstone.
Yeah, Yellowstone is. I mean, it's.
I've never been. I've always
incredible.
wanted to. I don't know why we haven't gone.
It is incredible.
We should have gone during COVID.
Where I've
honestly.
always wanted to go is, so I want to go to Yosemite, but I want to go specifically to the Roosevelt Gate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to go to South Dakota. I want to go to Mount Rushmore, and I want to go to Montana. I really want to go to Montana. Why? Because
Sorry, I was yawning.
okay,
I'm like, what?
first of all, there's parts of Montana that are an autobahn.
Oh, that's true.
No speed limit. But you know what's going to be bad, right? That if I'm in Montana and there's no speed limit, I'm probably going to, rent a car. So it'll probably be like, I don't know.
A Civic.
Like a Civic. It'll probably be like, I don't know, a Chevy Cobalt. That does 0 to 60 in 5 minutes. And I'll be like, oh, crap. I'm in an Autobahn and this is what I have.
You know what? But they probably have some type of like sports car rental in the area.
All I needed to do was take my last car, the Charger, just take it over there.
No, but they probably have some type of like sports car experience, I'm sure.
It's
Because
probably more expensive.
well, okay, fair enough. But like they have that in Murphy, North Carolina, so I'm sure they have it at the freaking Autobahn.
And no, Montana's beautiful, and just I really want to go to Montana, and I really want to go also to Montana. Do you know that the country's oldest Chinese restaurant is in Montana?
It is?
It is.
Is this because of the railroad?
I'm not sure how it got there. Actually, where is it? I actually saw it on CBS Sunday Morning.
I love how
too.
you said that though, like if it was imported. Like, I don't know how it got there. Like somebody dropped it off and it grew from a seed.
What?
No, because I was like, is it the...
So it's
Okay.
the Peking Noodle Bar was opened in 1916,
Okay.
and it is in Butte, Montana.
Boot?
Yeah, and it was opened in 1916. And I actually saw it on CBS Sunday Morning. Drink 2.
This episode brought to you by...
Well, what's different,
This is true,
right?
Like, we usually don't get them this back to back.
Well, it's a special day.
It is.
They were actually talking about they were doing a report on the Chinese restaurant because they didn't know if they were going to survive during COVID.
Oh shit, that's true.
Yeah. So I really want to go there to go to that restaurant because it's like old school.
And you don't even like Chinese food.
Yeah. Well, I don't like Chinese American food.
Well, I mean, at this point, I'm sure after 100 years, it's, had its assimilation.
No, because it's probably the real thing.
As real as you can get in Montana.
Listen, if they are the oldest Chinese restaurant, then they are doing something right.
Okay,
in the
all right,
world,
all right,
I'm
all
sorry,
right.
in the country, they're doing
All
something
right,
right.
they're still there.
Right?
Okay, fine.
It's not in San Francisco. It's not in New York. It's in Montana.
Okay, it's in Montana. I just hope they have honey garlic chicken. That's all.
Really?
I love me some honey garlic chicken.
Oh, that's like I hate the sweet and sour chicken with all that breading.
Yeah, the breading is an issue, but like, I love General Tso's chicken.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
El arroz frito. What
qué
is
rico.
it? What is it? Okay, let's talk about arroz frito for a minute.
This was definitely not planned.
Growing up, and listeners, you have that family member.
My mom makes arroz frito.
Okay, what is it with people's ambition, especially Latin people, Except if you're Peruvian, porque Peruvians have
You
that
have the
chaufa.
chaufa, right?
Which
right. It's arroz frito, right?
It's arroz frito, but I like it even more. Like, to me, chaufa is leaps and bounds better than your standard Chinese American fried rice.
Okay, I can only speak to my mother, and my mother just likes to try recipes.
Okay.
So, like, my mother cooks things from all over.
Okay, my father, for years, and when I mean years, I mean decades.
Okay.
Has been wanting to do arroz frito, and he does arroz frito y de queda malísimo. Right? Because first of all, let's deconstruct the arroz
dissect
frito.
this. Okay.
My dad cocina el pollo y le pone adobo, or like you know Latin spices.
Oh yeah, no.
And,
Ya empezaste mal. Empezaste con el pie
and
izquierdo.
then I remember, like a few years, when I mean a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
Okay, so recent.
Yeah, that he was doing arroz frito, and I go, you know, you do arroz frito, and you are missing probably the single most important ingredient in cooking any type of Asian food, and that's sesame seed oil.
See, I don't know if my mother uses sesame seed oil.
Right, but sesame seed oil.
But I know she uses like soy sauce and other.
Right, but sesame seed oil is an integral part of just most Asian food, but specifically fried rice, because sesame seed oil has a very, very distinctive flavor profile. That's what gives a lot of Asian food that flavor. Right? So if you're cooking it with olive oil, it's not going to be the same thing.
I don't know what oil my mom uses, but she does. But
the reason I bring that up, and that's why I would be interested to see what like listeners think. I don't know why so many Latin people, so many Cubans, like want to take on the fried rice. Like, voy a hacer arroz frito.
Why not?
Especially since arroz frito is so freaking cheap, right?
Maybe that's why. Because they figure, like, if I screw it up, it didn't cost me too much money.
No, I mean cheap that they could buy it. You could buy a tub of arroz frito.
I thought you meant cheap to make.
I feel that arroz frito is not subject to inflation. It's like you could still buy a tub of arroz frito.
Although, you know what? I don't know because I used to think the same thing about the Little Caesars pizzas, and now they're like $6.
Yeah. Oh shit! You know it's
they're
totally
no longer $5.
Subject to inflation, but not now. Just for a while. So. You know the world's finest chocolates, the ones we all sold in school?
Ahorita that thing is a Tic Tac.
Right, but I love how it's like, still $1.
Still just $1. I'm like, well, yes.
Right.
Yes.
I remember the one we used to sell was freaking thicker than
that looked like, that was like the length of a Hershey bar.
The
length of a Hershey bar.
It was
and
thick. It was like an inch thick.
Now it's shorter and skinnier.
Yes.
It's like it's been on Atkins.
Yes, but it's $1.
I mean, it's still $1. I mean, sure.
But it's like if you got the old one and you sliced it in half
and
like,
then chopped it off,
and like put it in a wrapper. So it's like, don't lie to us, world's finest chocolate.
But it's still $1.
But it's so good.
It is good.
Especially the almond one.
I love that they have more options than when we were growing up.
I know, but no. I like the almond one.
I like almond, but they have a dark chocolate almond.
But you know what's great? When you get that one piece that has like 3 almonds.
Ooh, you get so excited.
Yes.
That's when it's like, okay, the $1 is fine.
Or the opposite, when you get a piece that doesn't have an almond.
Because las almendras no son barata.
Yeah, but it's so good.
It is good.
It is so good. Like
now I want one.
It's funny because last year, whenever it was before COVID, Tristan brought a box, and I'm like, we need to dispose of that quick because I see myself buying the whole box.
Yeah, you're just gonna be like, here's $50.
So I literally went to my office, and my office is an office building.
Oh, you just went office
and
by
I
office.
went knocking floor by floor. I'm like, you're buying my kids chocolate.
It's just easier to pay the $30 and call it a day.
That's like, when the poor Girl Scouts are in front of Publix, I'm like, stop, you're going to kill me, because
I can't say no.
I can't say no to a Samoa.
No, I can't.
Our Samoa's amazing.
I love Samoas. And the peanut butter ones. I love, like, those are my favorites.
They have the lemon one. Oh my God, it's so good.
The one that I don't really care for is the Thin Mint.
Yeah, it's all right. A lot of people lose their mind over
I don't
it.
like chocolate and mint together. No, like when I go, if I go somewhere to eat and like after, instead of like una menta, they have like the chocolate mint. I'm like, that's okay.
But Samoas to me are up there with what I always tell you, listeners, you would enjoy this, is Colombia's gift to Earth.
Pan de bono.
El pan de bono.
Oh my God.
El pan de bono makes you.
Pan de bono exists in Nirvana.
I'm like, pan de bono is. When you have pan de bono, it's like God exists. Because
it's proof.
A human could have not come up with something so perfect.
There's no way.
Because a pan de bono on the outside is floury and dry.
But it's
squishy. It has a bit of a crust, but not a hard crust.
Right. It's a bounce.
But inside, it's
so warm.
Gooey, but not like, wet.
It's not liquidy.
Right.
Right.
And the cheese is like infused in the bread. So when you bite it, you have this momentary crunch that's soft. And as you're biting it, you're getting the flavor of the cheese. And then when you get in the middle, it's soft.
Watching you describe this, I wish I had recorded this because
That's how much I love pan de bono.
listeners, I think that this is probably how some women felt reading like 50 Shades of Grey. Like that's the look on his face when describing the pan de bono.
Like a warm,
Yeah.
soft pan de bono.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love Colombia. Que viva Colombia.
They gave us pan de bono, Shakira, and Maluma. What's not to like? What's not to like?
Yeah. We're on a roll. So anyway,
Well, we had to after last week's episode. We had to lighten it up just a little bit.
so it's June 1st. Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride
Now
Month.
everything is a rainbow.
Everything is rainbow. You go to sleep. Last night you went to sleep. June 1st you woke up.
Okay,
it
so
was
you know what I
bam.
absolutely love about in the last couple of years of Pride Month is that I gotta bring in Mariah Carey here.
Okay.
How I love how every year Mariah's like, oh my God, I have Pride merch coming out. And I'm like,
It's the same merch just with
bitch,
the rainbow.
it's the Rainbow album. It's like Rainbow album tees, right? Right, because for those of you who don't know, in 1999, Mariah Carey had an album called Rainbow. It's the album that has "Thank God I Found You," "Heartbreaker,"
One of my favorites, Ex-Girlfriend.
right? Oh yes, "Heartbreaker." And in the cover of the album, it's that, I guess you could say, iconic picture of her
Yeah.
that they spray painted a rainbow on her. It's kind
Like
of
her
artsy.
and the wall.
Yeah, it's kind of artsy.
The rainbow kind of looks like when you go to the fair
yeah.
and you get a T-shirt that's been airbrushed with the rainbow. That look. Yeah.
And it's a cool picture. But it's funny because, like, especially in the last several years, that like Pride merch is
Right, it's a thing, right.
a thing.
Right.
Like, I just love that. Like, her team probably was like, well, we were kind of ahead of the curve.
They just go back to that tour. And they just go and dust off the boxes.
But I
And
love
just
that
sell
every
that
year
shit.
she's like, oh, I have Pride merch coming out. And it's literally the picture recycled.
Of the cover.
Front cover and the back, because of the back
Yeah,
cover.
the back
it's
cover
our
is-
back.
right.
It's those pictures on a mug, on a T-shirt,
On a tote bag.
on a tote bag, on a towel. And it's like, I mean,
Sure.
sure.
Why
Mariah.
not?
So
Why
and then
not?
like her new merch, it's like, oh, this year she has a hoodie.
Oh, so she'll just release like a new item.
Right. Like last year there wasn't a hoodie.
But it's the same damn picture.
But it's the same damn picture. You know,
Okay.
maybe they probably tweak the colors or
Right, like now it has the trans colors too.
right,
Right,
Who
or whatever.
knows?
Right,
But,
right.
Yeah, but but I love it. It's like same old picture, Mariah.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
So yeah, out of rainbows and Skittles everywhere you go.
Yes, except for State Farm.
Why?
Oh, you didn't hear what happened with State Farm?
No, what happened with State Farm?
So State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm hates gays. So I'm exaggerating, but I'm Cuban. It's what we do. So they, State Farm was actually going to be part of a school book program called, and I'm looking for it now because I do have the article. It's called the Gender Cool Project, which is to help give LGBTQ books to schools, community centers, and libraries. But they rescinded that partnership, and in an email to employees, the insurance company canceled the partnership, saying that, quote, conversations about gender and identity should happen at home with parents, end quote, echoing language that's been used in like all of the recent, bills and things like that. So, they had told their employees about it in January. It's a small partnership. It was just going to be 6 agents in Florida giving books to organizations. It's like, it was a very small thing, but then, they rescinded it, and they didn't really give much more of a reason other than that quote.
They probably got some type of.
But they of course got some type of blowback and feedback.
Well, they got blowback after they took it, but they probably got some type of
No.
pressure.
No, they got blowback after when they did it. Right, when they announced it. Let's say
Right.
from conservative, right wing, and what have yous. But then on the flip side, to balance life, we have Mattel, which said, you know what, State Farm, it's okay. We're gonna release the Laverne Cox Barbie doll.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the Today Show the other day.
So it's like, you don't want them to read about it? Don't worry, boo, I got you. Here's a trans woman, a black trans woman doll available at all retailers.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty. To have a doll of you, no matter who you are,
I would love it.
to have a doll of you.
Yes. Well, because it means that like if Mattel decides that they're going to make a doll of you,
you've
arrived. You've made an impact.
You've done something.
Right, you've made some type of impact. Like that would be because we're talking, with Laverne Cox specifically, right? And a lot of the dolls that Mattel makes in that Barbie like celebrity line, they're not. It's not like when they're making an action figure of you, right? Because if you're one of these people who's in the MCU movies, yeah, they're going to make a toy of you. They're going to make an action figure.
Right, but it's really of the character.
The character, right? No, these are of you.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I saw her the other day or a couple of days ago in the Today Show, and when they were talking about that, I was like, oh wow, like that's a really big deal.
Yeah,
because I mean, not that I have a vast knowledge on all the dolls that Mattel has made of celebrities, but I would imagine that that's a very
it's a smaller club than you'd think. Yeah,
it's a small club.
Yeah.
So that's very like wow, good for Mattel and good for Laverne Cox.
Yeah,
I didn't realize Laverne Cox was 50.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm sure State Farm probably buckled under some type of
course.
Whatever.
Of course they did. But it's funny to me because it's Jake from State Farm. That's right, Jake. So I don't know if you've noticed. I did because during the pandemic we were all stuck at home watching TV all day long, and they actually have a commercial where there's this one person, I can't remember so Jake from State Farm gets a visit from the pizza delivery person, and I can't remember what the name is, but it's a very ambiguous name. And the way that let's say Pat, but it's not Pat, it's something more modern where the way that the person is dressed is very like just gender neutral, right?
Of red polo and khakis.
No, not Jake. The delivery person,
right,
is dressed like I believe the person may be biologically female, but there's no indication one way or the other. So when I remember seeing that commercial and thinking, wow, this is interesting, because it felt like they were going the route of, we're going to have a non-binary person. We're not going to mention it. It's not going to become a thing. But if you know, you know. Or you can pick up on it and interpret it however you want. And then they do this, which it seems to me like the pendulum swing, because this was much more blatant than having this character in their commercial, which actually they brought the character back. The character and Jake are at a baby shower.
They probably got some type of pushback or criticism from some
conservative group
who has a stake in State Farm. Because especially, I feel that a company like that, insurance is something that's a little bit, I think, harder to boycott. Like, let's say that you're really like, screw State Farm, we're boycotting State Farm. I think insurance is something that's a little bit harder.
Well, you can go to Farmers.
You can, but it's something that, like,
most people aren't just going to go
but it's also something that a lot of people, especially that are younger, are not necessarily like, I'm going to go to State Farm for my insurance, or I'm looking at my insurance. It's something usually that it's
more price driven too,
right? And it's a little bit of an older demographic. And a lot of times I think that a lot of these pride messaging and all that, I do think it's for everybody, but it's probably geared at younger people.
Yeah, but you also remember that you've got this whole older generation that is becoming older and has a lot of buying power that didn't exist, because, as I've mentioned before, we essentially lost an entire generation,
right? But there's a lot of merchandise that is for younger people.
No, sorry, but I'm just talking about like the State Farm situation of like the
Oh no, I'm talking about merchandise.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I was talking about like
Nikes.
if you do something where actually you know what, I'm gonna even push on that, because I think that there's a lot of older gays, members of the LGBTQ plus community, that because now they're older and they didn't have that as a kid, like they're gonna buy the stuff now because
you think they're gonna buy the Pride Jordans.
Maybe not the Pride Jordans, but they'll go to Target and buy a Pride, shirt, because it didn't exist when they were 15. And even if it had, they probably wouldn't have worn it because it was a different time.
And now Disney, I also read that Disney is doing the official Pride collection, because before their Pride merch was a lot more subtle. It was just, accidental rainbows. That sounds like the name of an album.
That might be the follow-up to Mariah's Rainbow album.
Accidental rainbows.
It'll give her new merch.
That is true.
It'll give her new merch.
Right. But now it's like specifically like the Walt Disney or whatever
Pride
Disney
collection, whatever.
Collection, yeah. So, I mean, boo for State Farm. Yeah. But they were right now with this whole don't say gay thing and the grooming and the indoctrination and all that allegations. I feel that a lot of times, whether you're a company or even a public figure, it's sort of like damn if you do and damn if you don't, because I'm sure there's probably some public figures and companies that just it's not even that they don't want to take a stand on it, but it's kind of like, I'm in my corner here.
Yeah.
I'm an insurance company, right?
Right, at the end of the day.
Right, I'm an insurance company.
Right.
But I think that what's frustrating with them is that they overtly were going to do something.
Right.
But then they rescinded it.
Right.
Right. If they probably wouldn't have just done something,
nothing would have come of it. Right.
So that tells you that they
Right.
got some type of.
But I will say, you know where I stand on this whole, because we have this conversation every June 1st where it's like, Pride shouldn't be commercial. We shouldn't have all this merch. And I'm from both sides, right? Like, because it's like, Pride is not about. I'm like, listen, what does it mean? It means that we've become recognized and we are acknowledged from a company standpoint. That means that we have value, even if it is literal value, right? But what I will say is these are the things that you have to keep an eye on, right? Because if you're going to walk the walk, you better talk the talk, right? Like if Nike's going to put out, a Rainbow Air Jordans or whatever, and then turn around and do something like this, yeah, you need to know about that because, okay, fine, don't give them your money. Give it to ASICS or whomever, right? But
well, that's like, for example, the criticism they used to have of Disney prior to this whole don't say gay debacle here in Florida. I think it was a fair criticism because Disney would, on the one hand, have an unofficial Pride collection,
but and Gay Days, which was unofficial,
right? And Disney did take a lot of strides as a corporation,
right?
They were, I think, one of the first American corporations where you can put your
benefits,
your same-sex partner for your benefits. They were like a pioneer in that, which is great. But they also were, as we know, contributing to campaigns of politicians that were not the friendliest to LGBT issues.
And now, in all fairness, they were doing it from a business perspective.
I understand it's from a business perspective,
but still.
But you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Right.
Which is the stupidest saying on earth. Because,
why wouldn't I?
Right? But the point is, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? You can't on one hand be like, yay, be who you are, we love you.
Right,
and
on
here's
the other millions
hand,
of dollars.
Okay, we're supporting for our company value, for our company benefit, we're supporting somebody who's going to shit on you, right?
Right.
So I think that's a fair criticism, and I think the over commercialization, not only of Pride, of just everything over commercialization is definitely a fair criticism of anything.
Right.
But I we discussed this last year. I think there's something to be said when you do see a big corporation like a Nike, right? Having a Pride collection. I do think there's something to be said about that kid who's in middle school, who is figuring out who he is, who it feels, everything you feel when you're figuring out who you are, what you aren't, and sees such a huge, because it's not only that, like, for example, a Nike is a big brand, right? LL Bean is a big brand, right? But the difference between LL Bean and Nike, and
all of those middle schoolers love the LL Bean catalog.
Nothing against LL Bean, it's great quality. Right? But there's a cool factor to having Jordans. That's what the cool kids wear. There's a cool factor to these shoes or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's something to be said for, again, walking into Target and seeing a T-shirt with, drag queens on it.
Yeah.
Available for sale at Target.
Target.
Like there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We know things can feel overwhelming, from jobs to family to relationships, even finances. And despite the stigma from Hispanic families about airing our dirty laundry, we can all use someone to talk to during those moments of stress. Well, we're here to remind you that there's no shame in admitting that you need to speak with someone to work towards improving mental well-being. That's where BetterHelp comes in to, help. A customized online therapy provider, they offer therapy options on your time, whether it's via phone, video, text, or even live chat sessions with a therapist. BetterHelp's customized approach matches you with a therapist in under 48 hours, based on what you're experiencing, to help you better understand yourself. And as a special offer for Pero Let Me Tell You listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/pero. It's already more affordable than in-person therapy, and now you can save on your first month. Everyone deserves to be happy, and BetterHelp has helped millions take their first step on that path. That's betterhelp.com/pero. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast episode. Bueno, I kind of wanted to bring something up, like we're going into darker territory here.
Well, you know.
So, I mean, look.
Drag queens have all known tragedy.
Qué tragedia, ¿verdad? I think that, last week, we talked about the school shooting in Texas. And, a week later, this is still...
Has it only been a week? Jeez.
Yeah, it's been you know why? Because there's so many shootings now. Like a week and a half before, it was at the supermarket in Buffalo.
That's true, that in California.
It's kind of like, wait, what? Who? Yeah. Where? What?
And as we said earlier, the long weekend metiendo otro focal with time.
Yeah. So it's been a week, and this past week, we heard a lot about the issue with the police and the timeline.
Yeah.
Which just
the lack of response, essentially.
Your heart. And there's still an investigation going on with that. So we still don't know 100% what happened. Obviously,
we know enough to
gross miscalculation, and there were a lot of bad decisions that were made.
Ahí tienen que rodar cabeza.
Right, in by the police department, but which I was mentioning to you last week because you were here. We were prepping for our Ping Pam Pollo pop-up when the
press
chief
conference
of police was speaking about the police intervention or lack thereof,
right,
and all that. And there's definitely an investigation that is happening and needs to get involved. I think the FBI should get involved in this, and there definitely has to be accountability with what happened. But as I was telling you, that's terrible. What happened with the police? And there were definitely lives that could have been saved, right? Because of what happened with the police, right? But let's not forget what the issue here. Started
that's another layer. That's not the issue at hand.
So last week, I was very vivid on my opinion on guns and how I wasn't raised around that, and it's not something I care for, but I understand it's a right. And, something that we sort of like about our show, we enjoy about our show is that, we have a lot of fun and we laugh, but, we do talk about very heavy subjects sometimes and subjects that are very multi-layered. And we actually do enjoy having feedback. And something I've always
We've read many of your feedback on here.
Something that I've always said is that I love a healthy debate. Unfortunately, we no longer live in a time where you can have a reasonable debate with people.
But that's what Twitter's for, debating.
Right? Well, you could have a reasonable debate with people, and you could have very different points of view, but have a reasonable debate. And we actually got a message from a listener.
Not even a debate, a discussion.
A discussion. You're right. We actually got a DM from a listener this week regarding my statements about that I made last week. And I thought that this listener, I don't agree with a lot of what the listener said, but I thought this is the type of conversations we should be having.
Okay.
Right? And it was a very reasonable and
it wasn't full of just like exclamation marks.
It was sort of refreshing to hear somebody who has a different take than what you do,
explain and not attack.
Right. So, I said what I said last week. So this is what our listener responded, and I want to share it with you guys because at the end of the day, it's about discussions. So,
and I haven't heard this. So
he's like, "Hey, dude, I want to talk about the gun stuff. Not trying to troll or piss you off in any way. I know you have your opinions because you're a genuinely good person, and I think we actually agree on a lot. But I disagree with you on some stuff. You mentioned 3 problems causing mass shootings: mental health, which he agrees, no age restriction, which he agrees on, and gun culture in America. And this is where he disagreed on with me. First, your characterization was very cartoonish. This is what the what I said about people with guns.
Yeah, like the Christmas cards.
Was very cartoonish, yes. Well, I'm sure those people exist, right? The people with the Christmas cards exist. They are the extreme rarity within gun culture community. The vast majority of gun culture folks are very multifaceted human beings like everyone else and are in no way responsible for mass shootings. That's like saying car guys are responsible for vehicular homicides. You also asked what someone's gun could do against the U.S. military, and you don't see that as a legitimate reason for owning a gun. Because as you recall, last week I mentioned, that a lot of people who have guns because they say, well, in Cuba, the first thing they did was take away the guns, and if the U.S. ever revolts against you, we have our guns to protect ourselves.
And we said good luck when they show up with a tank.
Right, and I'm like, well, but you could have a lot of guns, but you're speaking about the most sophisticated military in the world. But so that's what I said. So he says, I don't think that's the only reason guns are a constitutional right. Hunting and home protection are side benefits. Protection against a tyrannical government is the only legitimate reason for the Second Amendment, because tyrannical. Why can't I say tyrannical today? A word that I could always say.
I think you used up all of your syllables on over commercialization.
Right.
That's why you're done.
It's the pan de bono. The pan de bono is something in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So he goes on to say, governments which are most evil, oppressive, and murderous entitles entities this planet has produced. For example, Rome, Hitler, North Korea, Cuba. Any check against a tyrannical government is absolutely necessary for a functioning democracy. Not that we're a functioning democracy, but theoretically speaking. It's not about defeating the U.S. military. It's about the government knowing that there will be a fight if shit hits the fan. So keep that shit well away from the fan. A good government is a government that is terrified of its people, not the other way around. Thanks for listening, and thanks for talking about real shit and silly shit on your podcast. So
I actually love that last sentence, though.
What?
Like, the government should be afraid of its people, not the other way around. I kind of like that sentiment in the sense that, So I will say something. I get where he's coming from, at least with the initial.
So to our listener, first of all,
thank you.
Yeah. As I said before I read this, sometimes we don't agree on things, but these type of discussions are very important discussions to have. And nowadays we just yell at each other. You're an idiot. You're a racist. Drop mic. You like Trump. Go to hell. Right. Yeah. And then it's like we can have a dialogue. Right. So I appreciate that comment.
No, absolutely. I think there's truth to what he was saying in the sense of the depiction, the cartoonish depiction. So I get where he's coming from, but I guess not in your defense, but it really does become what we've said, I think, many times, which is most people, I think, fall somewhere in the middle, and yet what we get in social media is always lo extremo.
Right, the people with the gun Christmas cards.
Right, the gun Christmas cards, but then, you get the other
toddler with a gun.
Right, but then you also, then the far left also has the people on there who are just like, you'll never define my gender and I will never, like, it's this like,
right,
over here, over there, and most people probably are in the middle. Unfortunately, as a shorthand, we wind up going, everybody's guilty of this with the cartoonish exaggeration.
That's a fair point.
That we see more often than not.
Right.
I don't think that he brought up invalid points, shall we say. I still kind of think that, like, at the end of the day, the U.S. government can, use a stealth bomber and knock you out.
Well, look,
but I see where he's coming from. Is what I'm saying.
What he said, especially about me making a comment about gun owner, the cartoonish comment. I understand that. I agree. Maybe I was.
You were painting with a wet brush.
Right. I made a very generalized statement. Because it's a lot of times things you don't understand, you don't assess properly. Guns are something I don't understand. I as I said last week, I feel very uncomfortable around them. I have absolutely no interest in them. The only gun I've ever held in my life was a Nintendo gun in Duck Hunt.
Yeah, and then the dog would laugh at you.
Yeah, so. And honestly, I did what everybody else did. I stood right in front of the TV, touching the TV.
You did that?
Of course I did. I'm like, take that, duck.
Cheater.
Anyway, no, seriously speaking. But that's me, right? And he is right. I mean, I've heard of people that I know or
we know
in conversation.
We know people very well.
But people in conversation have told me that they have a weapon, and I'm like, really? I wouldn't have thought that you had a weapon. Why? Because all of us have certain biases, and I'm thinking like, oh, but you are like a very open-minded, progressive person. Like, why do you have a gun, right? Because even me, that Mr. like, I don't have any biases. Even I have biases, right? Yeah. And I think that a gun owner looks
Checks
and
certain
talks
boxes
a certain way when they don't, right?
Right.
So he is right. Like, I think the vast majority of people that own guns do so responsibly,
for valid reasons.
check all the check marks,
right.
all the points that they have to do to get a gun, and I'm sure that they take that responsibility very seriously. Of course, yes, we have the cookie, the
there's always un loco
the dudes out there that taking their Christmas cards with all these guns that I'm kind of like, oh my gosh,
nothing says happy birthday to our Lord and
this
Savior.
looks like an SNL parody, and it's not.
Right.
So in that essence, he is right. He is right, and I think that.
But we all do it. I mean, it doesn't make it right. But
the people that do these mass shootings are not. They're not your average gun owner, because your average gun owner takes this very seriously, right? And they take the steps they have to take to make sure their weapons are secure and all that. So in that aspect, I agree with him 100%. In terms of the government, I agree with the sentiment that the government should be terrified. I don't know if I would use terrified, but but know that the power is in the people. Right. A government of the people. Right.
By the people.
By the people, of the people. Right. So I wouldn't use the word terrified, but I agree with the sentiment.
Right.
And I guess you can make the argument that knowing that your citizens are armed or can be armed may have a certain,
psychological
effect on that. I mean, I still think that if it came down to the gun owners of America versus the United States government, military.
Right. It's an uneven fight.
Right. But I agree with the overall sentiment.
Right.
So I actually think that we weren't that off on a lot of things.
No.
Because to me, the biggest problem in this, and again, this is a very complicated issue. And complicated issues do not have easy solutions.
If it was easy, it would have already been solved.
Right? I don't think that legislation alone is going to fix the issues we have here with guns and mass shootings. I don't. Right? I don't think that at all. But, as I said last week, and I will say it again, there is nobody on this earth that can convince me that a civilian needs an AR-15 or a semi-automatic weapon. There's nobody. There isn't, because I like many people, I did a lot of reading on this in this past week, and I saw a lot of things. One of my favorite people right now in government is Ruben Gallego. Do you know who he is?
I think we spoke about him.
We have. He's a Democrat.
But he's the one that calls out the Democrats on their bullshit. También.
Yeah, at times. Like for example, he's one of these people that he said, he was on Bill Maher a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago. He's like, look, I'm Latin. His name is Ruben Gallego, right? And I'm not gonna be called Latinx. If you want me to call you, his exact words were like, if you want me to call you Latinx, I will call you Latinx because I'm not an asshole. But I don't care for the term, right? Which I was like, wow, you were very honest, whether you agree with him or not. You were very honest. Which
it's okay, we're thinking of the same person.
People in politics are...
Yeah, they go by the script.
Right. So he said something this week, which, we kind of all know, but he presented it very, very eloquently because he is from the military. I believe he was in the Marines. And
okay, so he knows what he's talking about.
A lot of people make the argument against and for that 18 is too early to have a gun. Right? Which I do think it's too early to own a
But
weapon.
the counter to that is that if you're old enough to go to the military and handle a gun,
Right. But this is what he said, and this is very true. To enter the military, you have to have a
screening.
background check,
Yeah.
screenings galore, a psychological evaluation. You have to go through a waiting period. Then once you've gone through over all those hurdles,
right,
right,
then you go to training.
then you
go
have
boot
to
camp.
have a proper training.
Right, you go to boot camp. Yeah.
Right, you have to have a proper training that not even after all those hurdles, there's people who don't make the training,
Right.
don't go through boot camp,
Right.
and then after all of that, when you are given the weapon, that weapon has to be locked and it's accounted for,
Right.
and everything is accounted for, every piece of ammunition,
Right.
You know, the serial number of that.
It's not you join the army, here's your gun, go flight.
Boom, boom, boom,
Right,
boom,
right.
So, and this is for an 18-year-old, right? So, somebody who joins the military has all these protocols that they have to go through,
Right.
to be the 18-year-old with a gun who can die for his country.
Right.
But the 18-year-old who's a civilian
Right.
can just go buy one, right? So,
There's a massive disconnect.
those are two completely different things.
But
right?
they're similar.
Huh?
They're handled differently, but at the end of the day, it's a very similar situation.
Well, yes, it's an 18-year-old with a gun.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But they're handled very differently.
Right, because also a person who decides to enter the military, they're making the decision to enter the military at 18.
Right.
Right? This is a conscious decision that they want to do, right? To serve their country, whatever their decision is.
right.
But I may be naive for this, but I really do believe that people that join the military are doing it for the greater purpose. They're doing it to serve their country.
I mean, some are also doing it for college purposes.
Right, but to serve your country, because there's other ways that you could get your college paid for that doesn't involve you joining the actual military.
Right.
I mean, yes, there may be a very negligible amount of people that don't, but I really do think that something as
It's as
the
intensive.
commitment
Yeah.
and the intensity of joining the military, I mean,
You really have to want it.
Yes, you really have to be committed to it.
Right.
In every way, shape, or form. So I think that if you're an 18-year-old and you're joining the military and you go through all these hurdles and all these tests and all these evaluations and all these screenings, okay, you do have now the privilege and right, of using this gun or weapon, right?
Oh, but afterwards we also screen you for like PTSD.
Right.
So even if you were fine when you went in, and you're not when you left,
right, and that's not to say things don't happen.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at.
That's not to say that things don't happen, because there's been a lot of issues and things that have happened and violence that has happened with people in the military and people that have PTSD. So that's not to say things don't happen. Right. But again, when you're telling me, well, an 18-year-old could die for his country, so he should be allowed to own a gun. Right. But an 18-year-old
doesn't show up and go to Afghanistan in 24 hours.
Right. There's a process to that. Right. So you can buy a semi-automatic weapon, but you can't have a beer.
Right.
You can't rent a car.
As we said, yeah.
Right. And several other things.
Right.
So you're 18 years old. We were in high school when we were 18. That's something I think about. I was a senior in high school when I was 18. So I was like, I could have owned, an arsenal. Right? There's nobody that's going to convince me that a civilian needs an AR-15. Is banning AR-15s the solution? Only do that and do nothing else? No. But I think it's a start. Because when you have all these mass shootings that have been done with the same weapon,
there's a common denominator.
There's only a handful of mass shootings. I think Virginia Tech was with a handgun. But most of them, the overwhelming amount of them, have been with an AR-15.
Right.
And again, it's a weapon that it's not your average weapon that, it's a concealed weapon that you have for protection.
Right. You're not taking it to go hunting.
You're not taking it to go hunting. That weapon was designed for military use, for killing another human living thing, right? So we're letting 18-year-olds, or anyone for that matter, but specifically like an 18-year-old and 19-year-old, carry an AR-15. You can't rent a car. You can't rent the, Chevy Cobalt that you could go drive in Montana, right?
But you can have...
But you could have this weapon, right? There's nobody that's going to convince me that. And if you think that banning a certain type of weapon is an infringement on your Second Amendment right, then you need to read Supreme Court case law, and you really need to understand and know the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Because
again,
you know,
no rights are
again. I say this all the time,
Coño.
and I hate saying this because I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, I went to law school, so I'm the constitutional scholar. Yeah, I did go to law school, and I busted my ass, and I took 2 years of constitutional law.
Right.
And
so you've read these cases.
Right, and
right.
I've read these cases, and I like these cases. So when I tell you, you know, and again, I'm not the expert. I'm not the expert.
Well, you're more of an expert than I am.
Right. But I think I have an understanding of this more than a lay person, right? Even the bill, your rights in the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, they're not infinite
absolute.
Right. They're not absolute rights. Right. There is limitations to all of them, including freedom of speech.
Right.
Right? Right? Defamation is not, which, you know, we'll get to Amber Heard and Johnny Depp in a second. Defamation is not covered in the Constitution, right? Defamation, people, is not just a fancy word that, you know, you use against newspapers and media outlets. Defamation means publishing something, and it could be something published orally or written, right? That's the difference between libel and slander.
Libel, ¿cuál es cuál? Libel's verbal, right?
It's written, and slander speaking.
Oh, slander.
So libel and slander, that all falls under defamation, right? That's not freedom of speech, right? Because freedom of speech has limitations.
Right.
Just like the good old fire in a movie theater, right? That is not freedom of speech. Hate speech is not freedom of speech. So there's a lot of limitations to even the most important and biggest rights that you have. So banning a certain type of weapon,
you can still get the other ones.
The weapons I have, that is not an infringement on your rights, people. Right. You know, all the constitutional scholars out there that got their, you know.
Well, I mean, these are also the same people who are saying that, you know, well, it's okay. I mean, you can still get an abortion 3 days after, you know, you're pregnant. Right. It's still available.
Right. And these are also the people that are infectious disease experts, but you know, but we're not going to go down that road now.
The monkeypox.
It's not an infringement on your constitutional rights. It's not. It's not. So stop being like, oh, you know, you can't impede on my rights. They're going to take, you know, my guns away. No. They're not going to take your precious guns away. Like, as I've said, I don't care for guns. I would not take people's guns away, you know, because that is in our Constitution. It is a right that you have, you know, whether you like it or not. I've always said this. Right. I believe
but the rights are not absolute.
I believe that the Bill of Rights it's a package. You can't pick and choose. You have to be you have to take the leap. You're in it for all.
That's
right.
True.
Not for like, well, I don't agree with this and I don't agree with that. So, I mean, obviously, again, mental health is a big aspect here, right? But the problem with mental health is that the same people now, without making this too political,
right?
Which it is, the same people right now that are advocating, oh, this is a mental health issue. Mental health
are the same ones who cut mental health funding.
Are the same ones that then, when their budget cut mental health programs.
Right.
So what's it going to be? Right.
Is it a problem or isn't it?
What's it going to be?
Right.
So, I mean, again, this is a very multi-layered problem. This doesn't have a simple solution. Right. You know, nothing that is complicated has a simple solution. There's a very multi-layered problem. But we just live in a world now or in a country.
No, we do it for the soundbite.
Where this is just the norm. And let me ask you this, as somebody, you know, because I like to get your take on things a lot of times, because I just, in the tendency of who I am, I get very involved in things, you know, and things. So sometimes I like to hear from a mere mortal, you know, because
thank you for deigning us from Mount Olympus,
no,
the mere mortals.
Because I feel like you are a good gauge of that, because you're not a disconnected person, right? That you have no idea what's going on.
Right.
I feel like you know what you need to know and you move on.
Well, yeah.
Right? So sometimes I think those are the best people to gauge. Do you think
like I'm not going to sit and watch CNN for 8 hours like you do.
Do you think that No, dude, I'm watching CBS Sunday Morning.
Only on Sundays.
No. You know why? CBS Sunday Morning has a very comprehensive YouTube channel.
Okay.
So you could go and watch old.
Okay.
But I've seen them all.
So for you, it's just repeats?
Yeah. Oh my God, that was so funny the other day when I told you a little off topic. I told you, hey, remember that cover that Britney Spears did of Esquire magazine? Like, I don't know, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
That she was wearing a white sweater and she
I didn't
kind
know
of
that.
was bottomless.
Yeah.
Do you know that's an homage to Angie Dickinson?
Yeah.
Do you know where I got that from?
I'm like, well.
Because CBS Sunday Morning did
I'm pretty sure it wasn't from The View, so by default, it had to be CBS Sunday Morning.
CBS Sunday Morning did a whole thing on Angie Dickinson. Did you know she was like a sex symbol?
Yeah. That's why Blanche is always referring to her.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, where she's like, they confuse me with Miss Angie Dickinson.
And I didn't know that when she did the cop show...
Policewoman.
Right. The enrollment of women joining the
police force.
academy, the police force, like it skyrocketed.
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So if we wouldn't have had policewomen, we wouldn't have had Cagney and Lacey.
I guarantee we wouldn't.
Which we wouldn't have had SVU.
That's true. Well, SVU now, because SVU when it started was a man and a woman. So,
right, but the woman wouldn't have been.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right. See, I was thinking we wouldn't have had Rizzoli and Isles.
Yeah, no, like she wouldn't have been it. You know, she wouldn't have been inspired.
That's true. Angie Dickinson inspired so much police work.
Wait, where were we?
You were going to ask me something because
yes, gauge you. Do you think that as these mass shootings just keep happening, do you think that more and more people are just going to get frustrated? Because up to now, nothing's been done. Right? Do you think nothing has been done up to now? Because, again, this argument is hijacked by both ends of the spectrum. Right. The people that are like, ban all guns, and then the people are like, no.
Get more of them. Yeah.
Get more guns, more guns. No legislation, right?
Give it to the fetus inside, right?
Do you think that as more these things happen more and more, and they become, well, they're all violent, that just your average person is kind of like, what the fuck? Like we need to do something.
The average person, unfortunately, so I think, kind of speaking on behalf of all average people,
you're the spokesperson.
I'm the spokesperson for average. What a horrible thing to be. The average person is probably thinking like something needs to be done, right? Now, what that something is where we all get kind of stuck, right? Because I think we can all agree something needs to happen. Unfortunately, and I can only speak because, I'm only alive during this time, unless you can prove that I'm like Shirley MacLaine with multiple past lives. We live in a time where we can all agree something has to be done, and then it just literally within 10 minutes devolves into the memification, and we all just go back to our separate camps. To the point where, when this first happened, I actually had a moment where I kind of had to check myself, because obviously when something tragic like this happens, I care and it hurts and it's horrible. But I had a brief moment where I actually thought to myself, if nobody in a position of power is going to care enough to actually do anything, why should I? Right? And that's a horrible thing to think, but I was coming at it from the perspective of like, this isn't the first rodeo.
Right.
And like you said many times, and just even last episode, if nothing happened after Sandy Hook, good luck. No. And so I think there's that. I think people want something done, but we get entrenched in to go back to what we were talking about. We don't have discussions anymore. We have debates at best on a good day. And then, quite frankly, and again, I don't want to get political and I don't want to go down this road, but honestly, before we talk about any of this, we need to just set term limits for the House and the Senate. Because the fact of the matter is that as long as these people can be, who was it, Strom Thurmond, who was 150 and was still getting elected and serving, what's going to change? What's going to change? Nothing. Because these people's only goal is to stay in power. So what they're going to do is they're like, okay, what's gotten me here so far? Okay, these are my 5 talking points, and I'm just going to say them louder next time. And that's it. as long as you have it's the definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Here, Marco Rubio.
You keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Communism. I don't like communism. Oh my God.
That's it. Right.
That's it.
Right.
Oh, no.
Right.
Meanwhile,
everything else.
He has one of the worst voting records in Congress that he misses most votes.
When he shows up, yeah.
When he shows up.
Right.
Like I forget the number, but like I was like, wait, what?
Right. But I'm saying this across the board. I'm like, you know what? No. You get 8 years. Or whatever the term is. You get in, you get out, you do your job, and that's it. Because otherwise, we've seen the ineffectiveness of this. We're living the results, and we are the ones who are suffering as a result of it. Because what you've got, and it's getting worse. I mean, I don't know if it's because we're getting older or because of social media or whatever, but it's getting worse where people are just becoming entrenched in their camp and they are being very reticent to even move and even indulge the notion of the idea of the possibility of the thought of hearing someone speak and getting something accomplished. So if that doesn't change, good luck. Unless they show up, you know what? I'm not saying I want that January 6th was a good thing, but that demonstrated to me that these people had their lives threatened to the point of death and they haven't done shit. No, then they don't care.
Yeah, it's all about power.
Then they don't care. Because my initial thing is like, you know, hasta que no te pisen el gallo. You know, you don't do something. Pero no, ahí pisaron el gallo because people breached the Capitol and they had to run for their lives and they're still not doing anything about anything.
Right.
So unless they literally would have walked in and just started shooting people in the head.
Right.
That's the vaya.
No, I think that's a very good point. I mean, look, I think that point that you make is valid, not only in the issue of gun control, but just in general.
In general. I'm talking in general,
In general. I do think specifically to gun control, as these things happen more and more and more, and I think
we do become numb.
We do become numb.
Which is
We
depressing.
do become numb. We
it's
do become
depressing.
numb. But I think that as they happen more and more, and it starts affecting your everyday life. Because what happens, you see one of these shootings happening, and you cry, you look at it, but you're like, oh, you know, what are the odds of that still happening, right?
Right.
As frequent as they happen, right? There's still a small odd that you're going to be in a mass shooting.
Right. Probabilities,
God forbid,
yeah.
you know, knock on wood, God forbid. Yeah. But I think that when it starts affecting your daily life insofar as like security, that's when people are going to start getting upset. Because, for example, I was this weekend. I mentioned that I was in downtown Disney, and I hadn't been to downtown Disney in a bit. And I was actually talking to one of our friends, and I was like, "Wow, to get into downtown Disney, Disney Springs, which is an open air marketplace." Right. There was an entry point now where you had to go through a
metal detector.
A metal detector.
I knew. Well, I went through the entry point back through when COVID. So
And right, but that's new. When I mean new, that's been there a couple of years
right,
at most.
At most, yeah.
Right,
yeah,
that wasn't there before.
Yeah. Because antes tú llegabas por donde sea, yeah.
Right, going to downtown Disney was like a mall.
Right.
And I think that when you start, as these things continue to happen, unfortunately, I could see there being additional changes and things like that happening, whether it's a metal detector at a mall, a metal detector at a store, a supermarket, metal detectors in schools, or pat downs, whatever that may look like. I think that when it starts interfering with people's daily life, as that grows, I think that's when the frustration is going to keep growing and growing and growing until people are like, what the fuck?
But the flip side of that is something that actually
that we become numb to it.
That, but also it's a little bit of something that actually we're talking about on The View, because you said CBS Sunday Morning. I'll bring up The View. Kids nowadays are growing up with this as their reality. So what does that mean? You and I are old enough to remember Columbine and being absolutely shocked by it.
Yeah.
Like, this was unheard of.
Yeah.
Kids nowadays literally have to go through active shooter drills.
They do.
So for them, it's not going to be weird, to use the probably worst word in the world, as it is to us, because they're already growing up with this is my reality. This is just what happens, right? So when they become parents, if there's mass shootings and things like that, they'll be upset. Obviously, nobody's going to be like, well, who cares, right? but it's not going to be as bizarre to them, just the initial concept of it, because they are essentially growing up with this as a reality.
Yeah.
Whereas you and I never had to do that.
Yeah, but in the still, yes, that is true. But even in like the next 20, 30 years, right? There's still a lot of people that are going to be around that were around before this was a norm, if you will. And I don't know. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I think that
I hope you're right.
I think that is. I think that that's when one of the many things that could get really people like hold the government accountable, our elected officials accountable. Like, oh yeah, this is affecting my everyday life. Because, you know, I heard people this week saying, like, they need to put metal detectors in school. I'm like, okay, so they need to put metal detectors in school. Let's talk about that. How long do you think it's going to take to get people through a metal detector in school?
True. Because you have to have one entry point. You can only have one entry point.
Right. You can only have one entry point. Right? So metal detectors, as you know...
School has to start at 6 a.m.
Right. As you know, anything can make a metal detector go off.
And all these kids are showing up with their book bags and zippers and their pins.
Oh, but they have them in airplanes, in airports. Right. Yes and no. They do have them in airports. But in airports, people are getting there, 2-3 hours before a flight.
It's staggered.
And it's exactly.
It's staggered.
Whereas in a
and it's up to you.
Right. And in a school... everybody gets there at the same time, or
everybody starts at the same time. Correct.
So are you going to have a line, especially in a high school, of 2,000 kids in front of the school going through the metal detector? And how long is that going to take?
Right.
Right? So that's not a practical
solution. Right. It's
right?
a solution, but it's not practical.
For a school, when high schools have thousands of kids.
Right.
I mean, if your school has 50 kids, okay. But that's not the reality.
Right.
So how are you going to pull that off?
Right.
Unless you have, I don't know, 200 metal detectors. Like, I mean, even that, like, even if you had 200 metal detectors in a school of 3,000 kids.
Good luck.
Because our high school had 3,000 students.
It did? Really? Wow.
Southwest, yeah, 2,900 something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I know, I was the editor in chief of the yearbook. Anyway, bueno. Let's move on to something a little lighter.
Anything would be lighter than that.
That the jury this week.
Oh, yes. As we're recording.
Sided with Johnny Depp, and they awarded him $15 million in damages. Amber
50,
Heard got
right?
15. Amber Heard got $2 million in her countersuit. I don't know the specifics on
because she countersued him for
100.
100.
Right.
Okay,
She got $2 million. I'm not sure what the $2 million mean. If that's like attorney's fees, I'm not sure what it means. But Johnny Depp got
he won, quote unquote, right?
The verdict was
in his favor.
In his favor. So, what do we think about this?
I think this is actually, to tie it back to what we were talking about earlier, defamation, right? I think this case has been very interesting. I think that it's been interesting to me, the fact that we've become so wrapped up in it,
right? No, I
in and of itself,
talked about it last week or the week before.
The Croqueta episode, yeah,
right. That it was a 6-week trial, a trial period, and it took all 6 weeks because again, a trial period can be 6 weeks or 8 weeks,
but 2 days of testimony.
But generally, they don't take that long unless it's like a very complicated case, O.J. Simpson, like something like that. But this took the entire trial period.
Oh yeah, no, they were there. We heard from everybody, even Kate Moss.
Yes.
Which was so bizarre. I mean, this is a weird case for so many reasons. There are people who are saying, believe women, and this is what happens when you don't believe women. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, right? Because...
What's what happens when you don't believe women?
That like Johnny Depp wins. Like when women are not, like,
you could still believe women and her be a liar, or her be an exaggerator.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like it's one of those things where it's like because she I believe that she came out and said something like this was a step backwards for women and things like that. Look, anybody who's listened to this show for over the 200 episodes knows that we're feminists. We are pro women. We're not anti women. But you can't go around, and I'm speaking in general, you can't go around always telling people that so-and-so did something to you, and then when you write something, say, no, but this isn't about you.
I mean, look,
like that, like you just, I mean, it's like you want, again, the cake and eat it too, right? Like you can't.
Look, I'm sure when we talked about this 2 weeks ago,
These people were toxic.
these people are toxic.
Together, it was.
This is not a situation where Johnny Depp was the perfect.
See,
partner
there was
and
no
husband.
angel and victim,
And,
right?
Amber Heard came in raw,
Right. Yeah.
This wasn't the
These
case.
people are the couple from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Yes.
That's
they're
exactly
Elizabeth.
what
They're Elizabeth Taylor
And Richard Burton, both on and off screen.
Yes. That's a great way of putting it. And for those of you who have not seen that movie, you really should.
You really should. It's really great.
That is an amazing
Tour
movie.
de force.
That's the exact best term to do it.
Yeah.
I freaking love Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah.
That movie. I love movies that are dialogue driven.
It's only 4 people
Yes, in a living room
because it's a play. It's an Edward Albee play
in a living room.
Yeah. Like one set,
Yes,
4 people.
Yes, and that's all you need.
And the other 2 only show up like halfway through the movie.
And there's moments that you watch, I'm like so uncomfortable. I'm like so uncomfortable.
I wanna watch it again.
It's a great movie. People go out and watch it. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? But back to them. Yeah, I don't think it's a situation where he was just like poor person that she was doing these terrible things to him, and no, these probably are 2 very toxic people who did terrible things to each other.
Right.
I'm sure that he treated her horribly. Right,
and she gave
I'm
her right
sure
back.
She was no spring chicken.
Right.
Not spring chicken.
No, Michael, she's not old.
What's what I was trying to say? No, ray of sunshine. Why did I think of chicken when I thought sunshine?
I have no idea.
I'm sure she was no fucking ray of sunshine.
Right.
And together, it was a freaking bomb. Right. But I think that
their therapist said.
I think the problem here is that she took a very, very, very public platform after and said a very, very, what it looks like to be now, exaggerated side of the story. Inflammatory that made him the bad guy and her the victim. Now, here's the thing about being a victim. To the
point that she fired her PR team midway through.
Here's the thing about being a victim. You could be a victim and be the bad guy too. Right? Because again, I don't think it's a situation where she wasn't a victim. I'm sure she was victimized during their marriage or their relationship. Right? But the way that she wrote it was very unilateral. Like that she was only on the receiving end of it.
Right. And as we saw from the court, that was not the case.
Right. And she made very damned statements that were just not true. And you said
not
Kate
the whole
Moss.
truth.
You said Kate Moss. She went on and on and on about because I saw when he pushed Kate Moss.
I thought of Kate. She said something to the effect of, as he pushed my sister down the stairs, I remembered the stories of Kate Moss.
Right. And Kate Moss took the
You opened the door to Kate Moss, babe.
And she was like, no, he didn't push me down the stairs. It's like, I fell and actually he helped me up. Or I think that's something that she
what
said.
you said is not what happened.
And then she went on all these, this is why you need to shut your mouth sometimes. Right? The more you say, the more they can hold against you. She made all these public statements on how she had donated the money that she got from their divorce settlement.
Yes, she was going to donate it. She was going to donate it
to St. Jude's and to something else. It was another...
That she was going to. She was going to donate. She
had donated it.
Well, all the proceedings from the divorce settlement were going to charity.
We're going to charity. And one of them was St. Jude, and the other one, I can't remember the other one. But it was 2 very big charities that she was giving them the money or that she had given the money. And both of those organizations said, no, she didn't give us a cent.
Right. We haven't gotten it yet. Yeah.
Right. So she sort of dug that hole up for herself.
Right.
And, I think that this is a very interesting story because the Me Too movement is a very, very real thing that needed to happen, that we're very supportive of, that it needed to happen, right? And you have to listen to women and you have to believe women, right? But that doesn't mean that there aren't women, just like there are men, that exaggerate, that are lie, that twist things around that aren't true. So just because you look into that and you investigate that doesn't mean that you don't. The two are not mutually exclusive.
You have to. I believe you until I find otherwise.
Right, and I think that this is an example of that. Right. He didn't take it sitting down. He's like, I'm taking you to court, and when push came to shove, she couldn't prove.
He had the receipts.
Right, he had the receipts. And she didn't have any.
Right.
She had thrown all the receipts away.
She had thrown them away, including the ones with the
he
donation.
had the CVS receipts.
Yeah. Oh my god, so much space.
Hey, when I go to CVS and that thing starts coming out, I'm just like,
I have them email it to me because I'm part of the CVS rewards. So I just have them send it as an email.
I have special. So is everybody else.
I'm just saying because I'm not dealing with that fucking like Miss Universe sash of
I
a
always give
receipt.
them to my mom. And then it's
What does
funny
she do
because
with them?
when I throw them away, my mom's like, "Tú vas a botar los
los
recibos
cupones."
los cupones de CVS." Because sometimes the CVS... Okay, here's the thing about the CVS receipts. This is why I think that it's a little... It's sort of like buying the Disney annual pass, right? I'm going to explain why. So, the CVS receipts, right? A lot of times, if you're part of the CVS, you know what? We're gonna have a conversation about this, Amparo. Let me tell you, the CVS receipts.
Okay,
that are
this will be how we cap off this
that
episode.
they're 6 feet long.
This is how we're gonna cap
They're
off the
literally 6
episode.
feet long.
I'm sure.
Okay, so the CVS receipts, right? So sometimes, especially if you're part of the CVS club or
Right,
whatever
program.
a rewards program that we are all part of, you get the $5 off,
The 40%.
sometimes the $10 off,
Right.
But that's not always, right?
Oh, I get the 40% every week, basically.
How much do you shop at CVS? That's not always on the receipt.
No, not on the receipt, but they send it to like the card.
No, I'm
Oh,
talking,
you're talking about the receipt. You're talking
I'm
about
talking
the
about
receipt.
the receipt.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
talking-
okay.
Right,
Oh,
no,
okay.
the card one, yeah. The card one, yeah, because when you pay, they tell you, oh, you have $5 off. Or
See,
you have,
see, yeah.
no, I'm talking about the receipt.
Oh, okay.
right?
The coupon, yes.
The
yes,
coupon.
Yes, yes.
The coupon sometimes, like
Sí,
once
depende.
every 10 times you go
Yeah.
or whatever, it'll give you like a $5 off or a $4 off.
Right.
Okay, that's great. $4 off, $5 off, great. The rest of the stuff, it's kind of like a Disney annual pass. It's kind of like, buy one, get one free Neutrogena face wash. Well, I don't really need Neutrogena face wash, but this is such a good bargain.
You know,
like,
I did.
Right. So, like, let me go buy it.
They get me with deodorant that way.
Oh, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
$2 off degree deodorant. Well, I don't really need it one right now, but let me go buy it anyway. So
Yeah.
they suck you in.
Yep,
And
they
you
do.
end up buying more stuff.
They do.
And the reason why I say the Disney annual pass
Right.
is because I struggle with this constantly as somebody who loves Disney.
I think we've had this
is
conversation.
that
Off air, we've had this conversation.
is that when you look at a one-day pass, it's like
Right.
$130, $140 now, and you compare it to the standard yearly pass for a Florida resident. I'm not talking about the one that has no blackout dates. I'm talking about the mid-range one. Right? It is a bargain. Right? It is. The yearly pass is a bargain compared to the one-day pass. But what happens if you have a yearly pass? Oye, tenemos el pase, tenemos que ir a Disney.
Aprovechar, tenemos que aprovechar.
Hay que aprovechar. Dale, vamos para Disney esta semana. So what happens in the long term? You end up spending more.
Because you got to get a hotel.
Right, you got to get a hotel.
You gotta pay gas.
You got to pay gas,
You gotta pay
which
turnpike.
now is a huge expense. You got to pay turnpike.
You gotta
got to eat, which is a huge expense. Like, these are all like expensive things.
Right.
And if you have children, you have to multiply it times 1 or 2 or 3.
Exactly.
Right? And when you're in the theme park, you're going to buy something for your kids.
Right.
Right? And whatever else comes along with the theme park. So now you just spent... and I feel that, like, especially of the yearly pass... I'm sure Stephanie has a lot to say about this. If you have the yearly pass, you're going to use that as much
because
as
you
can.
have to, or else it's not worth the money.
Provecho,
Right.
So it's not going to be like, bueno, you went twice.
No,
right?
you got to go at least 4 times.
You go like 4 times.
Easily.
At least.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like a lot more money when you look at it that
Oh.
you're spending.
And never mind that there's, dates que no aplica.
Right, which, don't get me wrong, I'm totally going for Disney, going to Disney 10 times a year if I could, right? But it is a cost. It's not like, bueno, you have the yearly pass, you pay a little bit more, you have the yearly pass, and cruise control, smooth sailing. Yeah. You have no more Disney-related costs. No.
Nope.
Now you have a commitment. And I feel the same thing as with the CVS. Porque the other, like, I have been there, I'm like, they have the Neutrogena grape, that I like, pink grapefruit face wash. I don't need it.
But I use it.
But it's BOGO. Like,
Right. Es algo que uso.
but I need to get it. Oh, they have the Dawn washing liquid. The big one.
Yeah.
That's like usually $10, $12.
They always get me with body wash and deodorant.
They have it $4 off. Okay, I have a home, but this is such a great bargain. So then I leave CVS and I'm like, I just bought these 4 items. Yeah, I got a discount for them. Yeah, I got them on sale.
And I'm going to use them.
And
but
I'm going to use them, but that's like $30, $40 I just spent that I really didn't need to spend.
Yeah. And they're smart because they always make it things that don't, like, que no se echan a meter.
Yeah. It's like, I just came in here for vitamin water and I leave for 2 bags of shit. Like,
That's great.
yeah, no, you know what I really like about the CVS here by my house is that
The one that there's never anybody there to help you.
exactly. Aside from the fact there's nobody everywhere else to help you, I think that their coolers where they have their drinks is colder.
Oh, it's like your house?
Yes, because it's like Arctic. So, yeah. So yeah, that's a como te coges CVS and they're 10. I love how Walgreens is like, we don't give a shit. We're not doing it. Here's your 3-inch receipt.
Walgreens is like, si quieres compra, si no
It's funny
eres.
because in Walgreens, I have also the same thing
yeah.
where you put in your phone number. I'm like, that shit doesn't work because I go to Walgreens and I never get any discounts.
No, I never get discounts. Maybe it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because you don't really get discounts, you don't really go to Walgreens, so you go to CVS more. So because you go to CVS more, you get more discounts.
Right. What do you like more, CVS or Walgreens?
CVS.
Okay.
But I have to say, like, my CVS love comes actually from when I was living in New York, because there was literally...
You didn't go to Duane Reade?
No. Well, I mean, I would, but I was always CVS because the thing is that CVS was literally, like, as I would come up from the subway, like, to go to my house, the CVS was, like, right there, and it was 24 hours a day. So no importaba. If I had gone out and I was coming back, like, buzzed or whatever, I'd come up, I'd be like, I'm going to get a little wrap.
Right.
And I'm going to get a little, the cookies, 4 for $1. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, le cogí cariño because it was, like, my corner bodega almost.
So I like Walgreens more than CVS because I love that Walgreens is such an old brand.
Okay.
Right. And,
it's true.
Walgreens had the soda fountain.
Yeah.
And, like, I love, like, the history of Walgreens.
Right.
And to me, Walgreens feels a little more homey. It feels like a little cozier.
A little more casero.
Yes. But I go to CVS more.
I mean, they just have a better rewards program.
Yeah, and also, for me in particular, the problem is where I live, going to the Walgreens, even though it's across the street, would mean I have to... Traffic-wise, they're both at a very big intersection, so even though the other one's just across the street, it means I have to do a whole U-turn through an area. So it's a logistical...
That across the street is like a good 20 minutes.
It's a logistical nightmare. Whereas CVS... CVS is technically further because it's on the other side of the street, but then it's on the right side of the street, so I could just
it's easy,
right? So it's a pretty good reason.
I agree. I'm all listen. It's about convenience.
A convenience. So anyway, we reached soda time.
We have reached soda time. All right, you want to go first? You want me to
you
go
go
first? Okay, so my soda is actually going to be it's like sad soda. But it's going to go to a gentleman by the name of Trey Ganem, Ganem. His Instagram is at spot SPOTTEDAPE. So he's an artist from Texas, and he is actually making customized caskets for each of the 19 young victims and the 2 teachers.
That is heartbreaking.
This man is doing God's work. Like, it's the fact.
Did you see the Superman one?
I mean, you think that one didn't kill me? Bad choice of words, but I mean, so this man is just, again, horrible because it's tragedy, but proof that there are just people out there who have a good heart,
Yeah, that is wow.
Yeah,
that is incredible what he's doing. So it's such a nice gesture, but even for him, that must be so.
Because we're not talking about one.
Yes,
we're talking about 21 caskets.
Designing these caskets with children's emblems and art,
like their interests and
wow, just heartbreaking.
Yeah. So
well, you had a way of bringing the mood down.
So but again, it's proof that good people still exist out there, and so last soda to Trey.
So I'm gonna give my last soda. So trivial at this, I guess. After this, in terms of impact, well, this is a big impact to Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, she's
celebrating her platinum jubilee.
Platinum
this
is
week. 70 years.
70?
70.
Wow.
70 years in the throne. And I know that right now the royal stock is down.
At best.
Because we live now with like colonizers and blah, 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 and all that, which there's a certain truth to that.
Right.
There is a truth to that.
But still.
But in terms of...
She's the longest reigning monarch, right?
They always talk about how Americans have a fascination with the British monarchy. And, people say scandal and all that stuff, which is true. But I think that at the end of the day, Americans are fascinated by the British monarchy is because that's our heritage. That's where our country comes from.
Yeah,
it originates from. Even though we fought, a Revolutionary War over that.
We're traitors.
Over that. But, we share a common heritage,
right,
whether you like it or not, with the British. And I think there's an affinity to that. I've always,
You really have.
I always have. I feel that the monarchy is like very in style to love or hate recently. But since we were in high school, I was
You've always been fascinated.
I'm like, I find it so interesting,
Yeah.
like the history of the British
Like,
monarchy.
I wouldn't even say you love or hate it. I think you're just intrigued by it.
I am. I have books on
Right,
like the British
right,
monarchy. And I mean, the fact that this woman has held this title for 70 years, and you know, she's never given an interview.
Never?
Never. She's never given an interview.
Really?
Nope. The closest that she has done,
Just her message on Christmas?
her Christmas Queen's message, and she's addressed the nation, the Commonwealth many times. But a sit down interview, never.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just whatever you think about the British royal family. They've been there for a while, so
Yeah.
she deserves a drink.
Absolutely. She's probably
So-
thirsty.
Well, everybody, that was our show today. We hope you listened, laughed, and learned. And as always, remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your cafecito. And thank you for joining us.
All right. Cuídense,
Have
mi
a great
gente.
weekend. Bye.
Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.